Hello everybody, welcome to the show today, guys. We've got a big one. So many things have happened overnight, and we just got some insane news for you today. Trump has now just ordered a military strike on senior ISIS and attack planners and terrorist groups. He literally, within 2 weeks of him being president, is already trying to take out the terrorist groups, guys. This news broke this morning, guys. This is huge. This just happened. Trump says U.S. carries out airstrikes on Islamic State in Somalia. He is not holding back. He is moving forward, putting America back into the safest place as possible. He stated that these terrorist groups under Biden, the Biden administration, were allowed to wreak havoc upon the world, and it was Biden and his cronies that failed to act upon taking them out. Trump said his message to ISIS is don't attack Americans or say anything about attacking Americans, or we will find you and we will you. The Democrats also right now are trying to strike deals with certain Republicans to not get Kash Patel through as FBI director. As we know him, Adam Shifty Schiff is out there trying to discredit Kash Patel and trying to turn Republicans. People are calling him out, and especially Bongino for being a snake. But if no Republicans turn, Kash Patel is expected to have his hearing this Monday to be the director of the FBI and get through. On top of this, huge new bill just landed last night. This new bill is gaining steam called the Federal Reserve Transparency Act. Trump and the Doge team have identified that there is a lot of corruption. They're working with Thomas Massie. I've got the whole video to show you to get this passed, but this would allow for Doge to audit the entire Federal Reserve and also hold the leadership accountable for all the lost money, trillions of dollars of unaccounted for taxpayer dollars that have gone somewhere, but we don't know where. As of now, it's been decades since many federal establishments have been audited, and Doge says that with their preliminary findings, they have found corruption. That's why the Treasury, one of the Treasury leaderships, just resigned. Chuck Schumer also, this just happened this morning as well. Chuck Schumer, the Democrat Senate Minority Leader, is now under investigation by the Department of Justice. He made threats against the Supreme Court justices. We have the video to show you of where he blatantly says, don't do this or you won't know what hit you, and we're coming for you. So there's been a ton of stuff happening, guys. We got a ton of breaking news today. I want to say thank you to all of our subscribers. Thank you to all of our viewers. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so I can take care of you every day with the top news. And thank you to all of our members of the channel. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We are here to serve you, and we thank you for your support. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button, guys. It really does help out so much with growing the videos. We have a lot of breaking news to get into today. Things are happening all across the world. New bills, new things are happening. Check this out.
Biggest piece of garbage, evil demon we have in the United States Senate. The fact that this guy was promoted in the state of California is a word on the ass of humankind. What Adam Schiff did to this country is a disgrace. He is a documented buffoon, liar, and he is an evil demon. That is all this guy is. He is a disgraceful, disgusting human being. He's talking about Kash doing due diligence. You mean the due diligence he did when he put together the Nunes memo with Devin Nunes and exposed you for being a scumbag? You mean that? By the way, did you do due diligence? Justin and Michael reminded me this morning. They're like, Dan, due diligence. Wasn't Adam Schiff the guy who got pranked by two Russian comedians because he didn't do Russian due diligence, pretending they had fake pictures of Donald Trump naked? I was like, oh my gosh, that happened, didn't it? No. Maybe. I said, remind me. So they pulled this clip, and it turns out this is real. Due diligence, Adam Schiff. Listen to this.
She got compromising materials on Trump after their short relations.
Okay. And what's the nature of the compromise?
Well, there were pictures of naked Trump.
Okay. And so Putin was made aware
Trump.
Of the availability of the compromising material?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We will be back in touch with you through our staff to make arrangements to obtain these materials for our committee and for the FBI. And I appreciate you reaching out to us.
This piece of human garbage, Schiff, was the top Democrat on the Intel Committee and didn't even have the sense to do due diligence and say, hey, is this really compromise or a couple of Russian comedians making me look like an a-hole? Listen, people get burned all the time, folks. It happens. This was an easy one. Due diligence. Good for Kash Patel. Brandon Johnson from Chicago's up there. Maybe it's a tie for number one. I don't know. Maybe they split the gold medal. There are so many awful liberal city big mayors. It's really hard to keep track. I mean, it's no point in even keeping a checklist and go on forever. Be like the board of Democrat hoaxes. Trump's been in office 10 days. We're going to need a new board soon. But Brandon Johnson's asked a simple question about ICE raids in the city of Chicago. He's like, hey, bro, didn't they just pick up a guy, like some hardcore criminal who was like, terrorizing your city? You going to help out about that? Hey, man, that's not my job. People in Chicago get killed, raped, murdered. I mean, it's not like I have anything to do with that. No.
You got to be kidding me.
Oh, yeah, listen to yourself. Check this out.
Tom Homan showed up in Chicago and within 24 hours found a convicted sex offender who has been living in our city since 2009, flouting the sex offender registry. If he can do this, why can't you?
Because that's their job. That is their job. The federal
Their
government
job's not to keep
has
the
a
people of Chicago
responsibility
safe.
to make sure that individuals who are undocumented, who have been charged with, convicted of a crime, it is the federal government's responsibility to do their part and uphold the law. Our local police department, along with our public health department, along with our other sister agencies, are working to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago. And as we've stated repeatedly, those critical investments, you continue to see the results of those investments as violent crime continues to fall in Chicago. Thank you very much.
Folks, this is the liberal ethos. This is why I wake up every morning, like many of you, and thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that I am not dumb enough to be a liberal. This guy is running on be a liberal, be a progressive, big government's going to solve all your problems. Reporter presents him with a problem. You have all these criminals who are in the country illegally. If you were just to cooperate with ICE, ICE could go in the jails and get rid of them. What's his response? Not my freaking job, bro.
Wow.
How do you live in this? We're on WLS in Chicago on the radio. How do you live in this city with this moron? Are you even interested in results like, hey, I don't want to get raped or killed or murdered or home invaded? This is your guy? This is the best you can do. Pull up that Melugin tweet, by the way. Here's Bill Melugin from Fox. You want to see what results look like when your government's run by Donald Trump and not this idiot in Chicago?
Yes.
Per sources, Border Patrol just recorded 582 illegal crossings at the southern border, with not a single one of the 9 sectors hitting 200. Well, what does that mean? Melugin says, good reporter here, I've never seen anything this low in all of my border coverage. The numbers were already flat low in Biden's final week because they were flying everyone in with the CBP app. But even with that, they bounced between 1,200 and 1,400 illegal crossings a day. But the numbers have fallen off a cliff since Trump took office. Last 3 days, 665, 731, 582. That's what results look like, bro.
Yes.
That's what happens when you've got a guy in charge saying, listen, Federalist 51, if men were angels. They're not. Unfortunately, we need a little bit of government, as little as possible. But if we're going to run this place, one of our jobs is national security. You're not entering the country illegally on my watch. What happens? Wow, people get the message. They stop coming here illegally.
So powerful, guys. Such a powerful message. Just want to say thank you to everybody that is watching, guys. Literally have over almost 1,200 people watching, under 10 minutes. If you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button, guys. It really helps out so much with the channel. Guys, Trump, right here, says U.S. carries out airstrikes on Islamic State in Somalia. Trump is not playing around. There is not one thing that this guy has not stopped to do since he has become president. It's like he's working 24 hours a day. He said this morning, this post, I ordered precision military airstrikes on the senior ISIS attack planner and other terrorists he recruited and led to Somalia. These killers, who we found hiding in caves, threaten the United States and our allies. The strikes destroyed the caves they live in and killed many terrorists without any way harming civilians. Our military has targeted this ISIS attack planner for years, but Biden and his cronies wouldn't act quickly enough to get the job done. I did. The message to ISIS and all others who would attack Americans is that we will find you, and we will you. Trump is not playing around, guys. The deep state is scared. Countries are scared. We got more news of what's going on behind the scenes from our boy Steve Bannon. Guys, the Democrats are in disarray. Check this out.
They're so used to having power. See how lazy they've gotten? See how pathetic they are? See the bleeding? You see the confirmations? They're bleeding out. Bleed. And Bobby Kennedy finally having enough of it. Maybe get that clip for me later. Finally having a belly full of it. Calls out Bernie Sanders. All you Bernie bros, I'll tell you, he's pathetic. Pathetic old man. Totally irrelevant. Taking money from Big Pharma. And at the end, well, I raised $200 million, only $1 million. You're pathetic. You're bought and paid for. Pathetic. Go talk about the minimum wage. Another misdirection play. While you sit there and allow illegal immigrant invasion come through in the H-1B visas. Glad you jumped in after we took on the oligarchs. Hey, dude, hold my beer. Scale, depth, urgency. Scale, depth, urgency. People around Trump, you don't do this. Kash has not been voted. They have not been voted. You got, boom. How about this? Get rid of them. And do it today. I want it done by 5 o'clock. I want them out. I want them out of the building. What you folks should do, don't worry about your jobs. Your jobs are gone because you've disgraced the institution that you were sworn to uphold. You've disgraced your oath before God Almighty about defending the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Turned out you were the domestic enemies. Yes, you will go down in history. Because history is written by the victors, and we are the victors now, and we will be the victors in the future, and we will write the history. And you are the villains. You're being cast out. Now, you cast us out, but we were resilient. We had nothing. We had no control, no access, nothing on any of the institutions of power in this nation. Not Wall Street and the capital markets, not the corporatists and all the corporate power. Not the apartheid state in Silicon Valley, not the media in Hollywood, not the media in New York City, the television media. We didn't have pop culture. We didn't have high culture. We didn't have the universities. We didn't have the official churches. We had nothing. But the indomitable will of this movement, of a populist movement, of sovereign will. That's what populism is. What you saw last night's applied populism. Through a blunt force instrument that happens to be the 47th President of the United States, delivering blunt force trauma. You saw them last night? That's trauma. They're traumatized. Blunt force trauma. My mom said, get a taste of your own medicine. They didn't like it. And they're going to like it a lot less. Yeah, they're going to strike back. Of course they're going to strike back. They're quite powerful. They're going to strike back. Got that. They're going to resist, and then they're going to strike. That's why action. Trump gets this. There's an article that they met with his team. I think it was in the Atlantic. He met with his team, and they had the executive orders. People were there, and they said, look, we have a program to roll these out over the first 30 days or the first 60 days. We'll drop one every couple of days, and we'll have a press conference. He goes, no. You get them ready. I want them out, 1, 2, 3, bang, bang, bang. Let's roll. Let's go. Let's overwhelm. Let's take on this apparatus and break it. Let's take the Praetorian Guard and break it. They don't seem so tough now, do they?
Ooh.
Remember how high and mighty they were, coming to the microphone and you're this and you're that, and having press conferences and seeing people perp walked and seeing people in jail and coming. You know, Jack Smith's team came and sat in the front row when I was sentenced, and they were laughing and joking. Didn't bother me, didn't care. The woman who stood and perjured herself in my trial, it's a simple trial. When it's perjured herself, lied, bald-faced lied. Looked right there, bald-faced lie. Set up with Jack Smith's guys. Bald-faced lie. She scrambled, took a pardon. Begged for a pardon. Just like all of them, begging for pardons. The J6 committee don't look so tough now, does it?
Whoa.
Remember how puffed up they were on national TV and ABC News, breaking news, broadcast television, I think at first, broadcast TV, national TV. This is like Watergate. This is bigger than Iran-Contra. Remember all that? Liz Cheney don't look so puffed up anymore, does she? Benny Thompson, remember how puffed up Benny Thompson was? Remember Benny? Remember Kinzinger? Shifty Shift. All those lies he told every night of Rachel Maddow during Russia hoax, all of that, bald fake coming out, just came in intel. This will be damning to President Trump. This will connect it. He's done. He's going to prison. Then on the committee, just a shifty shift. Grab himself a pardon. Not so sure those pardons are going to work. That's the next step. You're trying to say, don't depend on those pardons.
I told you, guys.
Don't count on them.
I told you.
Maybe you can bring them up at your trial. Hey, I was given a pardon. Okay. Interesting. We'll check that out. Seems like an interesting factoid.
Mike Johnson and his team said they are investigating the Biden pardons because the Biden pardons were preemptive pardons. Nowhere in the Constitution does it state anything about a preemptive pardons. They say about pardons because you have to be criminally charged, convicted, and then the pardons work. A preemptive pardon is nowhere in the Constitution, and so a lot of people, including Steve Bannon, say they're not going to work. And that's where Congress, Mike Johnson, are going after them, guys. Look, Mr. Tracy J. Norby just said that he's going to donate $200 if we can get to the amount of likes of the people that are watching, guys. So let's do it, guys. Remember, we donate super chats and members to charity once a month, guys. So if you haven't hit the thumbs up like button, we got almost 1,500 people. Let's do it, guys. Let's do it so we can donate some more money. So I wanted to show you this, guys. This is huge breaking news. Over $1 billion in Doge savings after canceling 104 DEI contracts. Doge is saving the United States $1 billion a day. And guess what? We have a new groundbreaking bombshell bill that is coming from Trump, Doge, and is being pushed through by Representative Thomas Massie and Representative Mike Ruley. This is called Bill HR 24, Federal Reserve Transparency Act, guys. Listen to Thomas Massie release this, guys. This is going to literally uncover everything. Check this out.
This is what happens when you have a quantity of something and then you add more to it. This is dilution. The principle is so simple that a child can understand. And you can create this little science project at home. Sorry, you can have your tea back. But the principle is called dilution. And when you print $5 trillion and you put it into the economy, you have diluted the value of the money. So for instance, if you had a minimum wage at some amount and somebody was making minimum wage and they were still making minimum wage after this money was printed, they actually are making considerably less in terms of real dollars. It's dilution. So the $5 trillion that we printed, I would argue, is the primary source of inflation. You know, we can say, well, eggs went up because feed went up, fuel went up because there's a war in Ukraine. You can find a lot of excuses for various different industries. But what is the probability that every price went up all at the same time? You can't blame them on specific supply chain problems. The thing
how do you explain the global?
Yes, I'm glad you asked me that, Professor Raskin. Because they did the same thing in Europe. They did this everywhere. They printed their own equivalents of the Federal Reserve and treasuries, created their own money out of thin air. It may be the only thing that saved our dollar is that everybody else did the same thing to their currency. And so the question is, right now we're coming up on the debt limit. Why isn't anybody proposing to print more money? Why aren't the economists proposing to print more money? Because it is poison. When you print money, it is poison to our economy.
Guys, right there, guys. This new bill, Bill HR 8421, it's called the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act. This will audit every single agency out there to make sure that if there's any corruption, we're going to find it. On top of that, guess what also was released this morning? Senator Rand Paul calls for abolishing U.S. aid and ending foreign aid. No more. We have given hundreds of billions of dollars every single year, has put us trillions of dollars in debt, and now there's a movement in Congress. End all the giving away. Stop the bleeding. We have to stop giving away money that we don't have and stop taking from the average taxpayer and giving it to these foreign countries where we have no accountability of where the money is going. And I wanted to show you this, guys. I'm calling it right now. We're about to have a war at the southern border. What I'm about to show you has happened this morning, guys. This is very serious. It's barely breaking the news. You're seeing it here first. Check this out.
We also just got our hands on a memo out of the Rio Grande Valley sector that actually says that, this is kind of crazy here, that the cartels authorize the use of weaponized drones, explosives against CBP personnel and U.S. law enforcement down there at the southern border. Now, they're actually being encouraged, of course, to remain cognizant and vigilant, but they're also being encouraged to use their long arms, Blake. I have never seen this in a CBP memo before. They say, wear your ballistic gear, yes, but they're telling them, hey, have your long arms. Yes, they are saying, watch out for these weaponized drones. We've seen a lot of infighting with two different factions of the cartel down in Tamaulipas, that is on the south side of the border in the Rio Grande Valley, and they have like an all-out war happening between these cartel factions.
Wow.
So they are warning now that they might be using these weaponized drones against U.S. personnel on this side. So definitely cause for concern there.
Guys, look, guys, I'm bringing the receipts. You just heard the news. Check this out. This is this morning, guys. This morning. Update. War with cartels is coming. Sources report that the War Department is preparing a massive strike on major narco cartel targets inside Mexico, including drug labs and weapons storage sites. The cartels are using drones to try to fight the Border Patrol. The Border Patrol, look guys, this is a video of the Border Patrol. They're stationed. They're not letting anybody come through. Well, guess what? Those cartels, they're not making any money now. Look at this. Lined up along the Rio Grande. And all the Border Patrol, they're making sure nobody's coming over. Look at this, guys. This is Trump effect. This is Trump securing the border, but now these cartels aren't able to get their drugs across. They're not able to get people trafficked across. So guess what? They're upset. And they're now fighting and using drones with bombs and all these things against our Border Patrol. We are about to see a war at the southern border with the cartels, guys. This is getting super serious, super big, and one of the biggest, guys, what you're about to see next, NGOs. Now, Trump has already cut off the money, but the part of the Catholic Church was being used to help funnel money in helping people get across the southern border, funneled by taxpayer dollars. And now that that's stopped, guys, we are finding corruption at every single angle. And just want to say, guys, we almost have 1,900 people watching. If you haven't hit the thumbs up like button, guys, please do so. Mr. Norby said we got to get to 1,500 likes. And he's going to make a big donation to the charity. Guys, let's get there. Check this out, guys. This is getting insane.
President Trump campaigned on closing the Biden open border. He was very clear that he would, upon taking office, execute a program that included deportations of illegal aliens permitted to enter the country and resettled in communities all across America by the previous administration. As we have discussed here numerous times, the Biden open border has led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans and thousands of illegal migrants, sex and human trafficking, and rampant crime all across the country. This week, there were ICE raids in multiple cities, including New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami, and more. Democrats, who apparently still think it's 2021, are going nuts.
On this harrowing anniversary, Holocaust anniversary, does have a really eerie echo to something that I think people thought, how could that happen? And that could never happen again.
Nicole Wallace said MSLSD connected deporting illegals today to the Holocaust on Holocaust Remembrance Day.
You gotta be kidding me.
And I guess that's to be expected. But criticism of the president's policy, one that the majority of Americans support because we are a nation of laws, also came from the Catholic Church. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, who for 4 years refused to condemn Joe Biden's various heretical positions, who refused to excommunicate him or deny him communion, was quick to hit back at the Trump administration. The USCCB, writing in part, quote, some provisions contained in the executive order, such as those focused on the treatment of immigrants and refugees, are deeply troubling and will have negative consequences, many of which will harm the most vulnerable among us. Similarly, Pope Francis condemned the Trump administration's immigration policies as a disgrace. Someone, however, should tell the Holy Father that his own country, Vatican City, it is a country, just established a whole new set of immigration laws and penalties for those who violate the territorial integrity of the Vatican City state.
Wow.
They sound almost Trumpian in their common sense. The new Vatican immigration rules include a 15-year ban for anyone convicted of illegal entry. Repeat offenders face 1 to 5 years in prison. Unauthorized entry can carry a fine ranging from between $10,000 to more than $25,000, and prison sentences ranging from 1 to 4 years, especially if they enter in a group or, quote, by means of violence, threats, or deception to bypass border control systems. There are also penalties for unauthorized overflight of the Vatican by a drone. So apparently it makes sense for the Vatican, but apparently not for the United States. Church wants the United States taxpayers to pay for millions and millions of illegal immigrants while our own people suffer as a result. Vice President J.D. Vance is getting some pushback for his defense of the administration's position and calling out the church hypocrisy and knee-jerk opposition on the issue.
As a practicing Catholic, I was actually heartbroken by that statement. And I think that the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops needs to actually look in the mirror a little bit and recognize that when they receive over $100 million to help resettle illegal immigrants, are they worried about humanitarian concerns, or are they actually worried about their bottom line?
Wow.
The Vice President is right to question the motives and their position. Catholic charities, Catholic schools, and the church, to one degree or another, is addicted to government money and programs, and therefore continue to ignore the inhumanity of the Biden open border policy. Do we really think that authentically Catholic institutions like hospitals or colleges would be kowtowing to the left on a whole host of issues, including climate alarmism, transgenderism, and DEI, if they weren't to some degree concerned about government funding or other consequences associated with the government? The USCCB, in its pronouncements about the Trump policy, also ignored their own previous guidance on immigration, which years ago made it crystal clear that sovereign nations have a responsibility to protect their borders and ensure that immigration does not infringe upon the care of a nation's own people. Suddenly, they've turned a blind eye to the death, the crime, and fiscal chaos caused by 4 years of the open border. Yes, the Catholic Church and Christian theology implores us to care for the immigrant It exhorts us to be driven by love and compassion. But the Bible does not tell people of faith to permit lawlessness or allow an environment that puts people at risk of both exploitation and enslavement. Is there a role for the Catholic Church or other faith-based organizations to aid legitimate, vetted refugees? Absolutely. As Americans, we know that faith-based organizations provide superior services at lower cost than government. But aiding in resettling economic migrants, illegal immigrants, and opposing the deportation of criminal aliens and treating all immigrants the same is a mistake that cannot be excused or papered over with the pages of the Bible. Taking government money to aid in resettlements of illegals and deliberately obstructing legitimate law enforcement activity can't be tolerated.
Wow.
And you can preach love all you want, but Christ made it clear that there are lines that must be drawn as well. Equivocating on doctrine or trying to please the media or liberal government funders won't expand the church. It will shrink it. It won't encourage parents to send their kids to Catholic schools. It will lead to more closures. It ultimately won't reverse the trend of illegal immigrants being captured by a government welfare complex from which they will likely never escape. If the Catholic Church wants to experience a true spiritual resurgence, greater policy influence, and societal impact in the name of truth, leaders should be careful not to be perceived of standing on the side of lawlessness or a perversion of the American dream that empowers the administrative state. Rest assured, the first target of government, as Marx and Engels and Stalin all made clear, would be the church that provides the biblical underpinning of our morality and our freedom. Yes.
Guys, let me tell you this. As much as they want to say, we got to take care of our people, guys. We've got seniors, we've got women that have been horribly just hurt in ways that I don't even want to talk about. We've got kids that have been hurt in ways that we can't talk about. We need law and order, and it starts here. C24 McD, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, let's make True Life News as MSM like more. Let's go. Y'all show C24 McD some love, and also show Susan Cabrera for gifting 5 True Life News memberships. Grow in the True Life News fam. If you got a membership from Susan, y'all show her some love in the chat. Venezuela agrees to take back its citizens living illegally in the U.S. after a visit from Trump's special envoy. Venezuelan President Maduro has called for a new beginning in bilateral relations with the United States. Trump has just launched this Syrian an airstrike on the Islamic State in Somalia. The world is watching. The world knows that if they do not get in line, if they do not get in line, they are going to be hit with the force of Trump, and Trump is not stopping whatsoever. On top of that, we are seeing lots of movement, guys. I'm telling you, the news is breaking like crazy today. Thank you so much, Deanna White, for the super chat. Said, thank you, True Life News, for all you do. Y'all show Deanna some love in the chat, guys. We got almost 2,000 people watching. If you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button, guys. It really does help the video out so much. Check this out.
President Trump, the deconstruction of the administrative state is full bore. And the question I have for Rachel Maddow and the MSNBC team all these defenders of the American Gestapo, we've called them that, for 2 or 3 years now? Did you honestly think, let me get this right, did you honestly think that you were going to use Gestapo-like tactics against the American people, and you were going to kick down doors, and you were going to terrorize families, school board meetings, and you were going to terrorize families of the people praying the rosary outside of these abortion mills, and that you were going to terrorize, because that's what you tried to do, terrorize Trump supporters and Maga supporters, have the largest quote-unquote criminal investigation in your history that dwarfed anything about the anti-war movement during the 60s, different than anything about finding the communist infiltration in our country in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, anything regarding radical Islamic jihad, which you missed in the 80s and 90s, and then after 9/11. All of these things, all these major moments of infiltration by our enemies. And the largest was going to be against the Maga movement and American citizens. And you would throw in the Right to Life movement. You would throw in really which was the beginning of Maga, Make America Healthy Again, which was really the school board meetings and the awakening of the American mom to what was going on in the schools. Do you honestly think that would all be done and you would trample on civil rights and human rights and destroy people and bankrupt people, have people commit suicide and feel like they were othered, they were not part of their country anymore? Do you honestly think that that was going to happen and there would be no accountability? Is that what you thought? This is not the Republican Party. There's all kind of, the language has to get precise, I think, if you want to understand this historic moment. You can't talk about Republicans and Democrats anymore. That's a label that's meaningless. It's meaningless.
I agree.
The Republican Party and the quote-unquote, limited government conservative, and I realize a lot of you people used to be limited government.
I'm sorry to interrupt, guys, but this is what I call it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. I call it MAGA, Make America Great Again. That's a party. And then I call it the deep state. That's the other party. What do you think?
Maybe some of you are, but it never, limited government conservative and constitutional conservative, year after year, cycle after cycle, you put people back in. And what happened? They shredded the Constitution. And the controlled opposition of the Republican Party and the limited government conservative movement just sat there and either were okay with it, worked with it, got along with it, but they never opposed it. They might have sat there and made some speeches and sent some angry letters, but that's not opposing it. That's not opposing it. This is an apparatus that is running the most powerful nation on earth, and they're not going to give it up. Why do you think in those 4 years, what they did to Trump in the first term was horrendous? But look what they did to Trump after they stole the 2020 election. After they stole, let me repeat, after they stole the 2020 election. They're like the Praetorian Guard. They choose who runs the empire.
Yep.
And the, kind of the Spartacus guys weren't destroyed. It was a resilience. And so now President Trump is back and we're in charge. President Trump's in charge. To show you his commitment and focus and determination. And like I say, when you look at Days of Thunder, you have to have three scales: scale, depth, and urgency. Scale, the scale of it, the depth of it, every vertical, the scale of it, of all the verticals, the whole waterfront of everything that has impacted the country, everything that's taken away, destroyed the constitutional republic, that has destroyed our sovereignty, our territorial integrity, our citizens, all of it. From Geneva and the World Health Institute to where money's going all over the world, to the southern border, to Latin America, to Canada, to the Arctic, to Ukraine, to Beijing, to Tehran, the capitals of Europe, to Los Angeles, to Chicago, everywhere, the scale of it. It's everything all together.
Guys, the Trump effect is so powerful. Check this out. This news, guys, I love it, guys. We're always going to bring you the breaking news as it is happening. We told you that the Doge team was working to gain access to be able to audit the federal treasury. Reason being is because they found signs of corruption. Well, guess what? The treasury, the person who used to be over the treasury, just resigned. One of the highest level positions. And now that Doge has gained access to the U.S. Treasury, what they have found was that the previous Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, was bribed by Wall Street, making over $7 million in speaking fees. Ronnie Emerson, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. First timer. Y'all show Ronnie some love in the chat, everybody. So we now know, and we're finding all these signs, Janet Yellen encouraged using federal funds for the building of the Chinese economy. Guys, if we didn't have so many deep state workers that weren't putting America first, we are truly seeing the corruption being unveiled, and all these people need to be held accountable. I want you to see this because, again, there's more steps being taken with Doge, that they're saving $1 billion a day for taxpayers, but more is happening. Check this out.
Meantime, we're watching Doge because they're working around the clock to cut our bloated government. They're trying to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. We got an update from J.D. Vance, and he likes what he sees so far.
What Doge is going to do, it's going to save money. And I really believe it's already identified a lot of cost savings. The most important thing that it's going to do, I don't even think it's the cost savings. It's making the bureaucracy responsive to the elected president. We're talking about making the people's government responsive to the people's elected president.
But not everybody was happy with the cuts, especially not federal bureaucrats. They're scared stiff. Fear and chaos grip federal workers as Trump rapidly remakes the government. Cheryl, he came in, he said he was going to do this. He's doing it. He actually was kind of graceful in the amount of time that he gave those federal workers, where he said, you know, you can take the buyout. We'll pay you for till the end of September. Some people thought that was very generous, but he's doing what he said. He's doing what he promised the American people, what they voted for.
Well, and, you know, the whole return to the office part of that conversation is pretty clear. You know, Senator Joni Ernst was the first to come out and clearly say to all of us, only 6% of the federal workforce is actually in the office. That's number one. Number two, all the real estate, start to sell that off. There are already moves happening in Washington and Congress to make this happen as far as the real estate picture goes. But, you know, tying this back to energy and the tariffs and the economy and what would make us stronger as a nation, besides fiscal responsibility and not having these massive debt payments that we're paying right now because of the trillions of dollars that we're running in deficits in this nation, the best part of what J.D. Vance is saying is not only are we going to make our country stronger and more energy efficient, you know, an energy emergency, as Donald Trump has called it, but also we're going to run as a leaner, meaner entity. Called a corporation, called Donald Trump the CEO. I don't have a problem with that. But this is where these business practices can be effectively applied, in my opinion, to the bureaucracy that is the federal government.
Yeah, we were talking about the kinds of people he's picked in his cabinet. He's got a lot of advisors, David, who are business people. Somebody like Howard Lutnick has a lot of experience running a company. And that is the perfect way to describe how he's treating all of this, and there are so many moving parts that he's putting together. It's not just about Doge or just about tariffs or just about oil or just about inflation. They are putting the whole wheel together.
Well, there's so many business people who understand that it's not just the number of workers, it's what they're working on. You have 2.8 million federal workers. That's the federal workforce. How many of them are working on projects that don't make lives better in America, but make them worse? It's like the EV. A lot of these companies were forced to have, a lot of the car companies were forced to have EV divisions. How many of them, now that they're free, are going to get rid of the divisions that were bleeding money? Many of them already were doing, even at the risk of making the federal government mad at them. So the point is how much of what those federal workers are doing, it's not whether they're loyal to the president who's in power at any moment. It's whether they're doing things involved in programs that are bad for America, whether it's the Department of Education, HHS, or wherever. So I really think what part of what Doge has to do is not just talk about how many workers are going to fire, but how many divisions, how many parts of the government they've got to eliminate. And you've got to get into that. And people say, oh, we can't get rid of things like Department of Education. Too many people, there'll be starving children all over as a result of that. No, there are parts of the Department of Education that make things worse for students in America, and they have to be eliminated.
I think I just saw on the full screen there $1 billion taken for just the DEI aspect.
Guys, just want to say we have almost 2,300 people watching. Thank you so much for your support, guys. If you haven't hit the thumbs up like button, please do so. It really helps out the channel so much. Want to give some love to Mr. Norby. Said, TrueLife, live brother. I wanted the likes to match the watchers on the channel, but hey, let us hope everyone smashes the like button. Love y'all joining the TrueLife News Fun House. Y'all be blessed and give until it hurts. It comes back, y'all. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat, everybody.
It's crazy.
It is about ripping up illegal regulations that have been laid upon working men and women for the last 40 some odd years, that based on two recent Supreme Court decisions, upending the Chevron doctrine and then West Virginia versus the EPA. These are faceless bureaucrats who have essentially put their boots on the neck of every small business operator in the U.S. And what they did was, in essence, illegal. And those are the words that Elon Musk has used in that piece that was written in the Wall Street Journal with Vivek Ramaswamy. And that will give them the ability to roll back all of these regulations. This will unleash the economy and the American spirit and the animal spirits in terms of our growth in a way I can't even grasp at this point.
It's funny when we talk about what that E should stand for, because you said elimination, David. We kind of joked about it in the last segment. We wanted this to be government efficiency, some government elimination, maybe the DOE up on the chopping block. So a lot of Congress people I know on our show in the past have come on and say, maybe we should make it elimination and just cut some things right off the bat. What I like about Doge when we think about following the money is the transparency. On that full screen, Jackie, that you mentioned, was $45 million in DEI scholarships to Burma. We need to help and send foreign aid to Burma for other reasons, for national security, fine. But I'm not doing it through a DEI scholarship. You know what else ticks me off that Doge tweeted about on the 15th? $1.2 billion in awards to undisclosed recipients. It's not allowed to be undisclosed when it's my taxpayer dollars.
Ain't that
you
the
have to
dang
tell me
truth?
what it is. And I'm hoping a lot of Doge, to talk about efficiency or whatever, is also transparency. Just tell me where the money's going.
Yeah, and speaking of transparency, Elon brought it to Twitter, and he's bringing it here too.
Guys, let me tell you this. Transparency is where it's at. Guys, I told you earlier in the show, Chuck Schumer is now officially under investigation by the Department of Justice for making threats against conservative U.S. Supreme Court justices. This is the video of where he's making the threats, guys. I'm telling you, they're getting desperate. They don't even know what they're saying anymore. Asphalt Fusion, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Said, love this channel. Keep up the great work. Ronnie Emerson and Connie Coleman, thank you so much for the super chat. Ronnie said, I'm really worried about Lindsey Graham. He just seems like an insider and very sympathetic to the Ukraine war effort. And his rhetoric towards Trump lately really has me babbled. Whose side is he on? He is a rhino. Y'all show them some love in the chat, but listen to this, guys, because this has put Chuck Schumer, the Senate Democrat minority leader, under investigation.
And they're taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
Wow.
You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions. And they're taking away fundamental rights.
Listen one more time.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these.
So right there, guys, this is what has put him under investigation. Trump, they came out and they're asking Trump about it, asking him what's going on with everything that's happening, with what the FBI, all this stuff that Chuck Schumer has been trying to work through. Guys, I'm telling you, Trump, no more. He's saying no more. We're not dealing with this anymore. Check this out.
With efforts to reduce the federal workforce, whether it's offering what we call the buyout package or other efforts, do you have any concerns that there will be employees broadly across the federal government who might take that up? And they're a part of the many different ways that agencies protect the public, from food inspections to water safety to
I know, but everybody's replaceable, and we'll get very good people to replace them if it turns out to be more than we thought. It could be a lot, it could be a little, we don't know, but we'd love to have them leave. We're trying to remember this. We want them to go into the private sector. It's our dream to have everybody almost working in the private sector, not in the public sector. We have many people, very few people came to work. They were, it started more or less with COVID, but actually even before COVID. But it started with the COVID, they didn't come back. And then Biden let them get away with murder, and they we had a federal workforce like 4% coming into the office. And that just doesn't work. People can say it does, but it doesn't work. You have to be unified in a group in the office. It's just, it was crazy. You don't know what they're doing. And then at some point, we may ask them to certify that they didn't have two jobs, meaning were they really getting a check from us, the government, and then were they also working a second job and a third job and, on government time? And many of them will say that they did, which is not legal, but it's a problem. It's a problem. No, we want to get that out. We want to clean it out. People have been trying to reduce federal government now for 40 years, 45 years, and they haven't been able to do it. And this is a way of doing it, I think, very nicely. It's sort of a buyout, too. I think we're treating people very good. But people don't come to the office. They won't have a job starting on that very special date. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, nobody knows how that's going to turn out. Everybody might show up to the office and maybe a large number won't show up. But if they don't show up, we've accomplished a very serious goal. We're trying to reduce government.
Does Mr. Musk meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu next week?
I expect a lot of good things. From all meetings, I expect good things. Marco Rubio, as you know, is going to make a tour of various countries in South America. He's going to be meeting in Panama, where Panama's treated us very badly. They gave him, rather foolishly, a thing called the Panama Canal, the most expensive project we ever built, if you look at today's numbers. Most expensive ever built. We lost 38,000 men. In that case, all men, just about all men. 38,000 to the mosquito, to malaria and various other problems that you get from jungles. It was a tremendously costly event. We built the Panama Canal 110 years ago. Think of it, the most expensive development we ever did. And really one of the wonders of the world, one of the great wonders of the world. And we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama. And Panama's been ripping down all the China language signs. They've been working like mad to try, but about 70% of the signs were up and they were written in Chinese, and that's not the deal. So we're going to take it back. They've already offered to do many things, but we think it's appropriate that we take it back. They've totally violated the agreement. We have an agreement. They violated the agreement, and Marco Rubio's going over there to talk to the gentleman that's in charge.
Guys, what a powerful, powerful thing. The Panama Canal is coming back to the United States. More executive orders have been signed that are literally changing the government as we speak. Miss B, thank you so much for the super chat. And Sean Green 2010, let's go. He said, awesome, Mr. Norby, such a patriot and a man of your word. LFG, guys, first time super chat. Y'all show them some love in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Mr. Norby again said, thank you for everyone what donates their butt off. Let's go. Y'all show them some love in the chat, guys. We have over 2,300 people watching. If you haven't hit the thumbs up like button, please do so, guys. It really helps the channel out so much. Let's cross that 2,000 like mark, guys. We can do it. I wanted to show you this, guys. The whole government is about to be overhauled. What we see now as government will not be the same as we see 1 year from now, 2 years from now. Trump just signed an executive order that requires 10 regulations to be eliminated for each one that's added. We live in such a regulated world. Do you know that when it comes to a house that you pay $40,000 more for every house because of regulations? So many things when it comes to gas, cars, everything is regulated, and all it is government control. And that's not the American way, and Trump is cleaning it up. Want to say thank you to everybody's support. Thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Let me take care of you every day with the top news, Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. We couldn't do this without you guys. Remember, we are a giving channel. Once a month, we give to charity with your super chat donations. When you're a member of the channel, you can join the membership with the link in the description, like Edward Craney just did. Welcome to the family, Edward. Y'all show Edward some love. We take that money, we make a big donation to charity every single month live on the channel. You get to see me online live give with partnering with you. We're different than other channels, guys. We want to be known as a giving channel. We want to be known for giving the truth. That's why we're called TrueLife News. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your donations. Guys, I want to give some love to some people that have donated, because remember, guys, this money, when you see the super chats and stuff going, that's going to charity. The charity we're giving to in February is called New Beginnings, because sometimes you have unplanned pregnancies. Sometimes kids are getting up for adoption. Well, what happens? Somebody's got to help out, and that's where this charity called New Beginnings steps in, loves the parent, loves the mom, takes care of the kid, helps find a family, for a forever family for them, and helps make sure they have everything they need. Want to give some love to C24 McD, Deanna White, Ronnie Emerson, Mr. Norby, Asphalt Fusion LLC, Ronnie Emerson, Connie Coleman, Miss B, Sean Green 2010. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat, guys. We couldn't do this without you. We want to grow. We want to be a 1 million subscriber channel one day, and we want to be known. We want to be a household name. We want news outlets to know that, oh, TrueLife News, yeah, that's one of the most giving channels on YouTube. We've already given over $20,000 on this channel. Thank you. Man, I'm telling you, I feel it in my heart, guys. I thank God for the blessings, but I thank God that we are blessed to be able to give. We've already given over $20,000 on this channel since we started this 5 months ago. Why? Because I believe that God honors that, and the more that we can give, the more people will be blessed. We want to bring a positive change to this world. Carmen Ramos, welcome to the family. Let's go. Guys, I love you, appreciate you. I'll always take care of you with the top news, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.